All right, can we verify that we've got a good audio voiceover commentary coming out in the live stream? All right, can we verify that we've got a good audio voiceover commentary coming out in the live stream? Hello everybody, this is Ghastly Statements back with another episode of my gaming diary on running off Infinity on Beam. And tonight I'm actually making a test run to see how well this will work. I'm actually using OBS tonight. And for some reason I'm not hearing the music that's playing in the background in the game, so my audio mix may not be set right, so I gotta check that out. This is mainly a test and demo session to check my settings in OBS, so... I'm a little uncertain what the optimal settings are, so just have to play around with it a bit and see how it goes. I'm a little uncertain what the optimal settings are, so just have to play around with it a bit and see how it goes. Alright, so I'm finally giving OBS a try, which I tend to do like every 2 or 3 months. I get frustrated with the software packages that I'm using, and I go back to try OBS out. Not even really certain where I am in my career on this. So this week is supposed to be a racing week, and if you've checked out some things that have been going on the channel, talking mainly to my YouTube viewers at this point, you've noticed I've been playing a lot of Drive Club on the PlayStation 4, including finally getting into check out multiplayer. But one of the problems I've had while playing Drive Club is because I'm not using a webcam this week and I'm trying to record my player video using the Contour Roam 3 action camera and kind of recording off-axis and then mixing that overlay in to the main video in post. I have wanted to get some additional overlays on the screen. And when I've been trying to program those into Game Capture HD, it keeps dropping the overlays. Now, I've had this problem with Game Capture HD dropping all sorts of things in the scenes, like the webcam, and other things. It's a bit frustrating. So, hold on. I gotta... minimize OBS so that I'm not actively drawing the game on my screen for performance. Oh, this is a lot faster than I remember it on the PlayStation 3. Wow. So I actually thought this game kind of played like a pig on the PlayStation 3. And I saw some stuttering in the opening scene, but not even sure what car this is that I'm driving. It's a Nissan or an Acura. It's not quite as stable as these cars. These cars are much bigger, kind of knocking me around. So it's race week this week on my channel. Like I said, I've been playing a lot of Drive Club, and I planned on playing this and some Burnout Paradise on the PlayStation 3 this week, and playing some Drive Club and Need for Speed Rivals when I switch over to the PlayStation 4. But I'm just kind of grown weary of constantly... I mean, Game Capture HD works 90% well, and it's stable and consistent. I mean, I will say that even when it does drop overlay items and whatnot, at least it does it pretty consistently 99% of the time. I can correct the problem by, for whatever reason, logging out in Windows and logging back in, and then I know when it drops the webcam, that tends to fix it. All right, how many more laps do I have? Usually 5th. Nearly in the top 3. So, again, I have not had success with OBS in the past, and that is primarily why I stream and do game captures using hardware solutions, and not software. When I do use software, I tend to use, I do use the software application that was actually written by the hardware vendor. So when I use my Elgato HD60, I use the Elgato Game Capture HD by Elgato, and then when I use my AverMedia Live Gamer Extreme G550, I use RE Central by AverMedia. But you know, I mean, RE Central works fine now, but for months I dealt with the fact that, for whatever reason, that software application would invert a webcam when you hooked it up. So I was always trying to figure out how to mount my webcam upside down. I've also had problems in the past with RE Central doing things like pausing the video in a live stream. Like it will, it'll hang the streaming video on a frame, and that frame will just keep playing over and over again, even though the audio keeps going.
Step it up a notch next round. Third is good. You can do better.
So I always have some problems or other. I considered today that, you know, if I could get OBS working, you know, my problem in the past has been that I stream, you know, I'm constantly gaming on different gaming systems, and I'm constantly using different hardware, just as part of like the lab experimentation and hardware reviews and things that I do as part of the site. On gearworks.com, you can see the logo and badge for that in the lower right hand corner, I hope and believe.
There won't be any time to learn this track. Your path through will change constantly.
So OBS has not been a good solution for me because I tend to find that OBS is very finicky and it takes a while to get it configured and working just right on a setup. So if you're constantly changing your setup, then you're just constantly monkey dorking with OBS and its settings. I find it has too many settings, so it's, you know, overly complicated a lot of times for the things that I want to do. But I do know it is a very broad solution that works for a lot of different use cases. So I get it. Kind of wish there was like a pro or semi-pro solution instead of that was even more reliable and stable than OBS as an open source solution. I do plan on investing in some Blackmagic equipment probably this year, so maybe once I get hooked into that, it'll have some alternative solutions for me that I can use. But in the meantime, I am going to make some efforts to run OBS with my hardware. So tonight I'm playing on the PlayStation 4. I'm playing GRiD2, which I picked up, I'm pretty sure, for free as a PlayStation Plus subscriber. It's hilarious. I was really trying to find something. I mean, it's race week, so I wasn't going to play a driving game, but I had this belief that GRiD was going to be a little more low-key, and I was going to be able to just kind of relax and put in a few races as calibration and configuration runs. That seems to not be the case. These things are very tight and competitive. I do want to flip the chat back open, sorry. Really low on battery power on my smartphone here. I seriously doubt that anybody is watching, but I can. The nice thing about Beam, because it runs a little bit behind, is I can jump in and check. Okay. Huh. So it actually seems like my audio mix settings might actually be okay. So I may have said I was playing on the PlayStation 4. I'm playing on the PlayStation 3 right now. I am using one of my 6-axis controllers that has the extended trigger nubs on it. Can I get them around the outside? Yeah! Which I always prefer. Nice. Which I prefer playing with when I'm playing a driving game especially. So I'm planning on putting in 2 more races for a total of 4 on this calibration run. So at any rate, I've been thinking if I can get OBS working with my multiple pieces of hardware, then I can just use a single software solution. Kind of the analog to that is kind of like I used to use a specific calendar app across my Android phone so that my calendar app would be consistent. I'm starting to consider now whether or not I should take the same approach. Alright, so we will take the so I guess this is like the old Nissan 240SX. I guess it's the equivalent car. So tonight, like I said, I'm playing on the PlayStation 3. I am doing the video capture using the Elgato HD60. I have the in-game audio and video coming into that over HDMI. I am not using a webcam for the voiceover commentary, I have my Behringer Xenix 302 USB audio mixer hooked up, and I and I have my Liegi L58 XLR condenser mic plugged directly into the hardware mixer into its XLR port, which is where I'm getting my phantom power. The Liegi L58 comes with, or at least the kit that I bought it with, comes with a phantom 48 volt DC big brick phantom power supply, but the 302 USB does provide that itself. I tend to prefer using the external power supply, but every once in a while, as is the case this week, I do just take power straight from the mixer. Now, earlier this week, I was also bringing the in-game audio in through the mixer, but I found that my PlayStation 4 was really quiet when doing that, and I didn't realize that when my speakers are off and I'm using the dual RCA left and right channel outputs on the back of the TV, that the volume control still works. I may have just had the volume turned down too low on the television itself, but at any rate, tonight I am using one of my many dozens of audio cables. The one that I'm using tonight takes the left and right channel RCA outputs from the back of the 32-inch Vizio TV and pulls them together in a singular 3.5 millimeter female. Oh, yeah, I mucked that up because I thought that was the end of the race. I thought that last thing I was passing through was like, wasn't paying attention. The end of the race is another sector up here. Blast it. So the question is, can I catch this guy? Man, I was eating him alive on this race too. No, I've got to make a ridiculous push to see if I can catch him. Ugh. Oh well. This is just a calibration run, so I shouldn't take it too harshly.
Alright, this was a one-off. I've seen you do way better before.
Yeah, let's restart that.
Sector 3 is where you need to really push yourself.
Well, Sector 3 was where I made the mistake, so it's not, because I wasn't actually looking at the map, and I thought, so I've got OBS set up tonight to stream at about 3 megabits per second, 3000 kbps, which should be enough for 720p stream at 30 frames per second. I've actually got it cranked up to 1080 now. Admittedly, that's kind of unnecessary since I'm pretty sure GRiD2 on the PlayStation 3... Actually, I need to check that. I'm assuming that it only outputs at 720p, but this might be a 1080p game. Ooh. Oh. Okay. I've got a lot more. Clearly, I am able to catch this guy, so I've got a higher top speed. I probably corner a little better. He might actually have more torque as far as straight up acceleration goes, but overall, this is the better car. The question is just, can I find the room to pass him without getting caught out? Yeah, I so totally thought this was the end of the race with all these. I still pushed it a little hard into that corner because I forgot it was that 90-degree turn. No, 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 no. Oh, that is supremely aggravating. Yeah, I'd have been really bent out of shape if I hadn't been able to pass him up there at the end.
Well, there should be no doubt in anyone's mind about your abilities now.
So I've been suffering from a flu virus for just over the last 24 hours. Hoping I'm starting to pull out of it, although I had a case of the chills again in the last hour or so. So I'm actually running the heat right now, despite the fact that it is well into spring here where I live.
The wooded area requires focus. One bad decision and you'll be wrapped around a tree.
We're about 20 minutes.
Sector 2 is where you really need to push yourself.
About 20 minutes overtime from when I had hoped to wrap this up and be in bed. Man, I really cannot say enough how much I love the feel of the 6-axis controller with these extended trigger levers on it. It makes it feel like a completely different controller. So right now I am happily recording along in the belief that OBS is doing what it needs to do. Most of the times my problem with OBS has been in it seems to do fine with capturing the video, but I've had problems with lots of audio artifacts, and actually I shouldn't say that it's done fine keeping up with the video. The Mirror's Edge video that I shot for my iPad, it just like hiccuped and jerked every, I don't know, 8 seconds. Some of that may have been performance limitation. I would think an open source product, which would mostly be used by people who didn't want to spring the extra money for a pro solution or hardware, would be a little less performance sensitive. But it may be performing well just because I'm throwing that KB Lake processor, 32 gigs of RAM at it. I'm only going to get one shot to pass him. Wow. Very nice hero pass at the end there.
Great driving.
So I'm done with the championship at this point because I'd really like to go to sleep. If this thing does not do its thing, and I may not even be able to check and see exactly how well it did until tomorrow morning because of the amount of time that Beam takes to process and cache a VOD so that it's viewable after the stream. So I gotta do at least one more.
Okay, California. Find some space on track. Racing too close could end.
Great, here's the face-off final. Of course, it would start me on the right-hand side of the track this time, which I'm okay with because the last 2 times I've had to try and do an inside pass without getting into the AI. So I will admit, dropping overlays isn't really that big a deal, so we'll see how OBS does in comparison to HD capture, or game capture HD, because overlays I can always add in post, so it doesn't matter that much in a week where I'm recording the player camera off axis, not integrated with the game capture solution. And I'm going to add that overlay in post anyway. I could have replaced all the overlays from the scenes that kept getting dropped in Game Capture HD. But I guess at the end of the day, I'm just frustrated that like there's a capability that's there that should work that doesn't because of instability and bugs. And I am not getting that corner. I thought sure I was braking early enough that time. I guess not. Now this guy's in the same BMW as the last guy. I'm not as far behind this time though. Great. And that pass, the car didn't get nearly as unsteady as it did last time. I believe that is a new course record for me. Yeah, maybe not. Nice. It's always great when you can play a old PlayStation 3 game and still add to your trophies and gamer achievements. Alright, very cool. So given the amount of time that I played, I may actually have to chalk that up as a full session. So I'll probably definitely try getting 30 minutes or so more in tomorrow and then heading over to play some Burnout Paradise. So if this video does come out okay and you can see it on the live stream, or if I get it posted to the YouTube channel because it actually worked, thanks so much for dropping by. Please feel free to give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down and leave some comments on things you think I can do better. And if you really want to help me out, please subscribe, either on my Beam channel or on YouTube. So that's going to do it for me. My name is Agasicles Stamus from Gearworks.com. This has been another episode of My Gaming Diary on the Rounding Off Infinity Gaming channel on YouTube. This has been segment 4, I think, in Race Week on Rounding Off Infinity, and I plan to pack in a few more segments before the week is out. So thanks so much for joining in. I'm out of here.